Okay, so the idea of this video was actually quite funny. So I was in the shower, and in the shower, you normally get these weird ass thoughts, and the first thing that I had in mind was Geektoons' video on Legend of Korra. Now I know that sounds weird, but this kind of has a point. Like, let me finish. So then it got me thinking about Legend of Korra, which then got me thinking about the original Last Airbender, which, fun fact, I recently finished my second viewing of, which then led me to thinking about Sorry about that. What I meant to say was Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just can't bring myself to call this Avatar The Last Air. Oh, damn it, I called it that. Which then led me to watching it again, and after stopping halfway, after bleaching my eyes, after watching some girl's hair look like a dick, I had only one question in mind. Would a live-action Avatar series work? Would another Avatar movie work? And most importantly, does Avatar The Last Airbender work in live action? You already read the title of this video. Y'all know what I think. Just cue the outro. Okay, so I guess this is where the video ends. So, it looks like we had a debate on our hands, folks. First, I'm going to be saying my only rule. That being that I'm not going to be talking about a spin-off or a sequel series to the original Avatar. I'm mainly going to be focusing on the story of Aang, Katara, Toph, and Sokka. So with that being said, time for me to overanalyze what does and doesn't work about Avatar The Last Airbender being in live action. Let's get our first question out of the way. Does an Avatar live action show work? Of course. But for this segment, I'll be dividing it into two scenarios, a recreation of the original show, and a complete reboot. So with that out of the way, let us begin. Bro, of course a recreation of the original show would work in live action. The writing, characters, development, and depth is already done before, and in a much better way, which is my biggest problem with a live action recreation of the show. It follows what we like to call in the reviewing community, the live action Disney effect. Basically, Disney does a lot of live action versions of the original animated movies, but they sometimes do a dark reboot of the movies, but most of them do a faithful recreation of it. Doesn't sound bad, right? Well, that's the main issue that people have with those movies. Like, what would be the point of watching a, come on, let's face it, worse version of an already existing property if the animated version is already there? But like I said, a show recreation can work, but let's face it, it will be a worse version of it. Well, like the recreation, a reboot of The Last Airbender could work. But what type of reboot are we going to be talking about? Will it be a more comical reboot that will be semi-faithful to the original source material, something like Teen Titans Go? Nope. Instead, we'll be talking about everyone's favorite type of reboot, dark and edgy reboots that have nothing to do with the original series other than the characters. Why am I gonna do this? Because that's what the live-action Netflix adaptation is doing. Or I guess was doing. I don't know, it's not really that made clear, but like, people really don't fucking care, so like, I don't care either, but like, it's just kind of confusing. What I like so much about the original show is that it both balanced love, drama, and comedy very well. But focusing more on the drama aspect of it is going to be so boring and just so semi-dramatic. That's what the movie tried to do, and it just ended up looking really bad. Oh, speaking of the movie, no, I don't think a live-action Avatar movie would work at all. And if you do, let me introduce you to the Avatar movie directed by M. Night Shyamalan. The biggest problem I have with the movie, other than the writing, acting, effects, characters, world building, choreography, cinematography, music, and so much more, is the terrible pacing it has, which is my biggest worry when making a Last Airbender movie. The series isn't made to have a movie adaptation of all 3 seasons in mind. If some try to make a movie out of it, it'll end up being convoluted and a rushed mess. Listen, for as much as I love Scott Pilgrim vs. the World the movie, which I made a video on the entire franchise, so please go watch that if you haven't, I will admit to its faults and in this case, I have to. And one of the biggest problems with the movie is the pacing. I feel like stuff like Kim and Scott's relationship and the Nega Scott plot points just could have been expanded more, and the 7 Evil X's just feel underdeveloped, especially characters like the Katanagi twins. But the acting and editing are amazing, but from what I've seen from the Avatar movie, that's just not gonna work, unless some kind of miracle happens. But even then, the pacing will still be a convoluted mess. But that's just what I think. Let's see what another Avatar fan thinks of this.
Shout out to the Ohm, ladies and jellyfish, Stan A.S.K here. Let me tell you my opinions on why a live-action Avatar could and will not ever work. First of all, there were 2 live-action Avatars we have so far. The M. Night Shyamalan one, and the one about hair sex. But anyway, from what we have so far of live-action Avatar, not that Avatar, the half-decent one, we don't have much positive content to go off of here. Starting with my biggest problem, the logic behind a live-action Avatar. Firstly, the cast of Avatar, as well as 90% of the lore and stories, revolves around non-human characters like Manuel's favorite, or the fact that they have to bend various elements, which means CGI is a big part of a live-action Avatar series. You know what else CGI is a part of? Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad, cheap Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network movies, with shoestring budgets that have to CG tons of non-human looking models. This is part of the reason why the Shyamalan movies didn't work. Obviously not the main reason was the terrible acting and story, but the incredibly high budget meant that it was a huge risk to make a sequel, and that's just on the merits of CG. If it's a cheap budget, we get something like the Ben 10 live action movies. But those are a story for another day. Also, what's the point of spending all that money, hiring all those actors and all that, when Avatar The Last Airbender is one of the most animated shows out there? As in, a bald boy with an arrow on his head doesn't look very nice in live action. If you don't believe me, you clearly haven't been watching the Shyamalan film. Same goes for Toph's eyes, Katara's hair loops, or Zuko's scar. And perhaps my biggest problem with making a live action Avatar is that Varric's not in it!
So in the end, do I feel like in live-action Avatar, anything could happen? Not really. Listen, for as much as I love the original series, I think Aang's story ended when the original show ended. I would love to see them return in some way, shape, or form like the original, but honestly, I don't think a live-action recreation or a reboot or anything really just doesn't work for me. I think the voice actors for Ty Lee said it best. You're not adding onto anything, or expanding the universe. You're just doing the same thing, and try to catch lightning in a bottle twice.
Tears falling down at the party, saddest little baby in the room. Fears, tell me fears, don't get me started. I get a little gray hair for every scare you share.